Hello and welcome to Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. A day has passed since the Constitutional Court removed President Yoon Suk-yeol from power on Friday. Now the former leader has to vacate his office and residence. It seems preparations for the move have begun. Our correspondent Ousted reports.
The quiet retreat of the Yoon Suk-yeol administration has begun in Seoul's Yongsan-gu district, as the ousted leader is to clear out his office and leave the official residence. The day after he was removed from power by the ruling of the Constitutional Court, which came 4 months after he declared martial law, there's growing attention on when the former president will vacate the residence. As of Saturday, no official timeline has been confirmed, nor have there been visible signs of a move this weekend. Former President Park Geun-hye, who was removed from office in 2017, left her residence within 56 hours of her impeachment. However, Yoon's departure may take longer. Initially expected to soon return to his former home across the river, there's now speculation Yoon may relocate to a third location outside central Seoul due to security concerns. His numerous pets, including 8 dogs and 5 cats, are rumoured to be factored into the decision. Meanwhile, at the presidential office, the transition is already underway. The phoenix flag symbolising the head of state was taken down on the day of the ruling. The large electronic display in the building's hallway, once filled with images of Yoon's official events, has now faded to black. And the administration's documents are being transported, as all presidential records must be transferred to the presidential archives in accordance with the law ahead of any incoming administration. As for the former president's staff, his senior secretaries will remain for the time being, after acting President Han Duck-soo declined their resignations on Friday. They're likely to assist with day-to-day operations and the transfer of power. Administrative staff from the government will gradually return to their ministries, while politically appointed aides are likely to angle for positions in their parties or pivot towards future campaigns. With no statements issued so far following Yoon's verdict, the presidential office dissolves silently, the close of an administration that ends without ceremony. Ousted, Arirang News.
So South Korea has officially entered early presidential election mode, with a new president required to be elected within 60 days. Rival parties in parliament remain deeply divided as the race begins. Our political correspondent Shin-young has more.
It's been 1 day since the Constitutional Court removed now former President Yoon Suk-yeol from office, and the political standoff between rival parties is already deepening ahead of the early presidential election. The People Power Party has called on the Democratic Party to take responsibility following the Constitutional Court's call for greater tolerance and restraint in politics. A PPP spokesperson noted on Saturday that the court criticized Parliament for operating unilaterally. In Friday's impeachment ruling, the court said the National Assembly should have respected minority views and sought compromise with the government. The PPP emphasized that South Korea can only move forward by restoring parliamentary democracy. It also pledged to help stabilize the country in the wake of the recent turmoil caused by the martial law declaration and the president's impeachment. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party criticized the People Power Party, saying it should reflect on its actions and sever ties with those responsible for the insurrection before entering the early presidential race. A DP spokesperson said on Saturday it was shocking that the PPP is already focused on winning the election following President Yoon's removal. The party also urged acting President Han Duck-soo to promptly set the election date, saying it should be announced no later than Tuesday of next week. The date for South Korea's 21st presidential election is widely expected to be confirmed at Tuesday's cabinet meeting. Acting President Han Duck-soo held a phone call on Friday with National Election Commission Chief No Tae-ak to discuss preparations for the upcoming vote. The two reportedly agreed on June 3rd as the most likely election date. With an early election now confirmed, rival parties are expected to begin preparations for their primaries as soon as next week. Shin-young, Arirang News.
And following Friday's verdict, countries around the world expressed support in South Korea's democratic system, adding that they're looking forward to working with the next administration, whoever it may be. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
Following the Constitutional Court's decision to uphold President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment, the U.S. State Department responded to inquiries from South Korean media stating it respects the ruling. It also reaffirmed its commitment to the ROK-US alliance, saying it looks forward to continued close cooperation. Meanwhile, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba was also asked about the impeachment ruling. He said, quote, "Under any circumstances, the government will pursue this as a key policy task based on the recognition that close cooperation between South Korea and Japan is extremely important." This comes as Seoul and Tokyo mark the 60th anniversary of reestablishing diplomatic ties this year. In light of the occasion, local media have also reported that a summit is expected to take place later this year once South Korea's next president is elected. The European Union reaffirmed its commitment to South Korea as a strategic partner, emphasizing its respect for the country's constitution and democratic values. In an official statement, the EU highlighted the importance of maintaining strong ties based on shared principles. Meanwhile, the United Nations praised South Korea's democratic maturity. During a routine press briefing, UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed full confidence in South Korea. According to the spokesperson, the Secretary General has full confidence in the Republic of Korea's commitment to democratic principles, a peaceful and stable path forward, and the country's institutions. 김도현, 아리랑 뉴스.
And a day after Friday's ruling, North Korea reported on the ouster of Yoon, noting that the dismissal was the result of a unanimous vote over his brief martial law order. The North State media made no commentary on Saturday, instead citing headlines from major foreign news outlets. By contrast, back in 2017, it took just about 2 hours for the North to report on former President Park Geun-hye's dismissal. Experts say the regime appears to be keeping its distance from the South, as leader Kim Jong-un has described inter-Korean relations as hostile. Acting President and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo urged all foreign and security ministries to unite and safeguard national security and public safety, convening the National Security Council just hours after Yoon's removal from office. Han warned that North Korea may try to exploit the political situation through provocations and propaganda. He stressed the need to maintain a watertight state of readiness. Han also called for continued cooperation with the Trump administration, especially in diplomacy and security. Now, on trade issues, including Washington's reciprocal tariffs, he urged a coordinated, whole-of-government response with support from the private sector. Acting Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court Moon Hyung-bae thanked South Korean police for ensuring the court's safety. According to the court on Saturday, Moon also thanked journalists for diligently covering the ruling and ensuring the impeachment trial proceeded smoothly. He further recognized constitutional researchers and court staff for their role in the trial's successful conclusion. The 8 justices who delivered the final verdict on Friday will be on leave until the 6th. U.S. President Donald Trump's 10% baseline tariff on imports from many countries took effect this afternoon, intensifying the ongoing trade war. China has already retaliated with its own tariffs, sending global markets into turmoil. Our Kim Jong-seol reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump's initial 10% baseline tariff on imports took effect at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. Only a few nations, including Canada and Mexico, are exempt. The 10% baseline tariff can be seen as the first phase of the tariffs President Trump announced on April 2nd, which he called Liberation Day for America. From April 9th, the second phase of tariffs will come into effect, targeting countries President Trump has labeled as, quote, the worst offenders, including South Korea, which will face a 25% tariff. For China, the tariff rate will rise to 54%. In response, China announced on Friday that it would impose a reciprocal 34% tariff on all U.S. imports, set to take effect on April 10th. The latest tariff announcements have shaken global markets. In the U.S., all 3 major stock indexes plummeted, with the Dow Jones falling by 5.5% and the S&P 500 dropping nearly 6%, capping the worst week since 2020.
It's an economic Armageddon that was unleashed by Trump, and the tariff war has begun, and we believe, this could set tech stocks and the tech industry in the U.S. back, potentially a decade.
Analysts warn that the economic consequences of the trade war could be severe, particularly for U.S. tech companies reliant on Asian supply chains. Professor Yang Jun-seok, an economics expert at the Catholic University of Korea, says China is directly challenging President Trump, arguing that once tariffs exceed a certain level, China faces little risk, but this has rattled American investors.
It'll be a big question whether European Union and Canada will join China in retaliation. If they do, then President Trump may have no choice but to back down from his high tariff policy.
As stock markets continue to tumble, all eyes are on whether China's latest move will prompt President Trump to reconsider his aggressive tariff policies. 김정실, 아리랑 뉴스.
That is all we have for this evening. Arirang News will be back at 12 p.m. Sunday, Korea time. Thanks for watching and enjoy your weekend wherever you are.